Hi everybody, and welcome to Wild Earth this morning. As you can see, it's quite overcast this morning. It's very odd. I think the clouds are starting to pull in yesterday. But we're here at the area where Mark left the two cubs last night, well, at least one cub. We didn't see the other cub, but we assumed that it was still around here. And it's quite funny because this is where a couple of nights ago we lost Karula and the cubs. It looked like she'd gone north, but she must have just dropped the cubs off and gone off hunting. So she may have come back in the meantime and checked in on them, but otherwise she may have just stayed away for a day or so. And that is normal for leopards. They will leave their cubs in one area while they go off to hunt, and then they'll come back and call them and take them to where the kill is. And Karula's pretty efficient at that, and as soon as she's made a kill, and she'll leave the cubs with the kill, have her fill, and then she goes off immediately because she doesn't know where her next meal's coming from. And I think that's one of the reasons why she has been so successful with the cubs. So we're going to have a scratch around here, see if they're still around, but otherwise see if there's any tracks of Karula maybe that we could follow up on. And obviously if there is anything else along the way, then we'll see and have a look. Or if there's any other tracks, maybe we lose Karula's tracks. She did go off into Buffle's Hook, so if she's hunted in Buffle's Hook, then we're not going to be able to get there. So let's see how the morning goes. If you're able to join us for the whole duration, the 3 hours, then hopefully you can climb aboard with us, grab your duct tape, and strap yourself on the gunder, and let's go for a drive. I think everyone was talking about different coloured duct tape yesterday. As long as it holds you in place, you can have a multicoloured gunder. Now there's a little bit of a 2-track leading down here, so I'm just going to have a quick look, because there's a lot of vehicle tracks here and I don't see... There was one cub track just on the corner there. Have a look up here too. I'm thinking Karula might have come back for the cubs already. Let's try down here. So I'm thinking the termite mound was this one up here. As they get bigger, they are going to start wandering a little bit further away from where she actually leaves them. It's quite interesting to me that she keeps leaving them fairly close to the roads. It's almost as if she understands that they know what the vehicles are and that they're not going to go running out in front of them. Not going to go running out in front of them. This is actually one of the, and it's actually the main roads of all the time. And we have seen them next to the road. And this road here is the main road down to the lodge, where it's had access. See any cubs in the trees there, Becky? Any tails swishing around? I'm pretty sure this is the termite mound from last night. Cool, thanks everybody. Apparently there's some activity down at Gowrie Dam. What kind of activity? Have we got anyone calling? Hyena calling and some hippo. And is that right now or is that overnight? 20 past 6. around just up a little bit further up Albridge Road. We'll have another look just down the way there, but there was nothing that I could see crossing the road. So the light is not great this time of day, so it is possible to miss things. There should be a couple of drives going out from Voyatella. There's another lot of tracks here too. Maybe this was the turn right round. Sorry? This one is it? Okay. So quick look in here too. Still on the termite mound. Good morning, little one. Where's your mum? I can't believe they're still here. That is amazing. Just gonna see if we can squeeze around here. Oh, there's both of them. Good morning, little ones. It is so good to see you. I'm just about to see the ear of the other one. I must see. Only in 3 weeks, they're growing rapidly now. Good morning. Actually, the male's face looks a little bit rounder than the female's now. Little female sitting on the left. Well, welcome to Wild Earth here on a Monday morning, and hopefully this is going to get rid of your Monday morning blues. Watch her, I think she might just... Either her brother's going to stalk her or she's going to stalk him. gonna see if we get a better view on the other side, because there's a lot of grass here, and I wonder if on the other side of the termite mound. Just see. So we might just get a nice view around the other side there. You can just let me know if there's any little branches or anything like that behind us. There's a little stump just there. I'm going to try and go around the other side so we're not going to get too close to them. Oh, there's a little more just here. What am I doing? Is there a stump at the back there? No? If you can just let me know if there's any stumps there, that'd be great. Thank you. This side. Looks like they've actually been jumping on that grass a lot at the moment. If there's any stations out on drive this morning, I've got the Mampimpans here on Aubrey's Road. Affirmative. Okay. I think we're going to have to move. Let me just move forward for you. Good morning, Zach. And welcome on board to you this morning. Wondering if the cubs have got names yet, and still not yet. We're still waiting for them to have names given. Hi Nana, and good morning to you too. Wondering if the cubs are able to look after themselves if something was to happen to Karula. At this age, they should be capable of starting to catch some small things, but they still have got a way to go before they're able to catch large prey. And I think it'll solely depend on the character of the cubs. Henry, come in. Oh. I think we're going to have to make space. There's some other vehicles wanting to come in, and I don't want to have the cubs. Texan, come in. If you can just stand by, I'll make space for you. It wasn't where you wanted to come into the lock. So we'll see if we can come back to the cubs. Morning. Is there any other stations? I can't hear anybody. Is there any stations wanting to come in? Is there anybody else wanting to come in? Sorry? No? Oh, okay. Move out of the way just so I'm not going to drop one. Texan or Henry, can you let me know when there's a space again? I'd like to go back into that block.
Yeah, you can try that thing, show you find it. Yeah, you also is putting next to the children, not far away from that there that goes in front of us.
So try again. Texan or Henry, come in. Getting a lot of interference on my radio this morning. If you can let me know when there's a gap again, I'd like to go back into that lot. No, my dad, to take your time. If you can just let me know when you do leave, that'd be great. Thank you. For some reason, I'm getting a lot of static on my radio. Quite hearing what's going on there. So just especially with Karula not being there, try and limit it to 2 vehicles with the cubs. We don't want to put pressure on the cubs, and we do need them to get used to the vehicles, which you can see they are. They're not too worried about the vehicles, but we don't want to have too much pressure too soon. So at the moment it's been decided that there are 2 vehicles in the lock. Just to make sure that they stay nice and relaxed. And it does work, as I say, you can see. And that's one of the reasons why we do have a limit. And the limit's usually 3, unless the animal's extremely shy. I think they were actually talking about the cub's sister, or half-sister, the other day, who's called Tingana, shy shadow here in the sands. And it's because she is extremely shy. She doesn't come out into the open very much. But when she had a cub, her character changed, which was quite amazing. So her character changed, more relaxed when she had a cub. But last ranger meeting we went to, where rules are decided and laid down, they said that unfortunately since she lost the cub, she's gone back to hiding. So unfortunately it does make a difference. So they've decided that only one vehicle should really view Tingana. There's another couple of vehicles wanted to come through and have a look at them. So I think we'll do a bit of a drive around the block. See if... Let's see. Sorry, what cheetah planes? That's what I'm thinking. That's not normal. I'm still in no range. Good morning, Pepperburn. Good to hear from you. Linda too. Ah, we've got zebra here. Good morning to you, both of you. And wondering if Karula left them overnight in the termite mound, which I think she has. Alright, little one. Is there water nearby if they want to have a drink? And I don't think there is any close by, but that's the wonderful thing about the leopards. They don't need to drink all the time. And I think she may have gone back to make sure they're all right. She must have gone back in that period just to check on them. And they can still supplement the diet with milk if need be. So it could have been that they drank before she dropped them off there. They drank water, and if she has gone back at some stage just to go and check on them, she may have just given them a bit of milk just to hydrate them. But it's been fairly cool over the last couple of days, so it's they don't seem any worse for wear. But I'm sure if she hasn't been successful, I'm sure she'll come back and collect them and move them on again, and maybe take them to water as well. But even that urge to drink, they won't wander too far from where she left them. And just for any viewers who've just popped in, we were with the cubs, but we just had to make space so that we don't put too much pressure on them, and we will make our way back in a short while once there's space for us again. Reminder, I had actually remembered And with all the excitement of seeing the cubs, I forgot to wish everybody a happy Independence Day over there in the US. And I think Canada also had a day to celebrate a couple of days ago or yesterday. I saw briefly. But happy 4th of July to everybody over there in the States. And I hope you have a fantastic day. So not only a Monday to enjoy with the Cubs, but a very special day to a lot of people out there. Hi, good morning to you, Mark, all the way over there from New Jersey. Good to hear from you this morning too. I'm wanting to know how much of Western Gower, which is the area that we traverse, how much of her territory overlaps that and the area that we actually drive in. And most of her territory does. This is why we're so lucky. She has a lot of her territory overlapping our area. From her boundary seems to be the eastern boundary that we traverse, Cheetah Cut Line. She doesn't seem to go beyond there. And we traverse up until Triple M, and she seems to go maybe about 800 meters over Triple M into Zimbabwe and that area, and Arethusa down on the south. In the north, and we're actually just a stone's throw away from Buffalo's Hook Cut Line now. We're actually on the fire break, just a few meters from Buffalo's Hook Cut Line, and she does go into Buffalo's Hook quite a distance. Entirely sure how much distance. We haven't really had too much following her movements in there. We've actually, when she had the Cubs, we were able to get quite a lot of updates from the Triple M side, and on the south as well. She goes quite far south into Little Gowrie, but again, the distance-wise, I'm not entirely sure. Hi Estenio, good to hear from you. It's been a while. Wanting to know, can the zebras survive a couple of weeks without food? I've got a zebra going to go and roll in the dust. Look at that. Try and get rid of some of the parasites on their body. I'd have thought if they really had to, they could possibly survive a few days without food. And I'm sure in some areas where food is not plentiful, they may struggle to find. But 2 weeks, I think it would have to be very extreme, poor weather conditions, I'd expect. I'm interested to wonder why 2 weeks. Why you're asking 2 weeks? But they are a bulk grazer, and they actually are able to feed on very poor quality food, and that's one of the reasons why the zebra are very successful. So as long as they've got a lot of food available, even if it's very poor quality, they are still able to survive. Whereas the antelope, they tend to need very high quality food. That's why actually one of the differences between the zebra and the antelope. But I don't know if any studies have actually been done on how long they can survive. But I suppose if push came to shove, it could survive, I'd say at least a few days, maybe 2 weeks. And good morning to you, Hal. Good to hear from you as well. It's been a little while. I hope you're well. And wondering when Karula will have her next set of cubs. You know, this is her third set. When will she be ready to have her next set? And how many could she have throughout her life? That one's quite a difficult one to really determine because we don't really know how long she's going to live. I mean, she could have a fight with a leopard tomorrow and die. And it's a very morbid thought, but the possibility is there. But if she lives her average lifespan that a leopard should live, then you're talking about maybe 14, 15 years. But her mother's a very long-lived leopard, and some of the other leopards here are very long-lived. So she could maybe go 16, 17, even 18. And judging by white cloth, they can breed right up until these older ages. In white cloth, she was one of the oldest leopards here in the Sabi Sands, and she was still breeding. She had her son, which is roughly around the same age as Mishu and Indun. Thing into for about 1.5 years, 2 years, depending on the character of the cubs. And I think that female's probably going to end up going a little bit earlier than her brother by the looks of it. She seems to be quite independent. So maybe about 18 months, 2 years. Once they start becoming a lot more independent, that's when she starts to cycle again. And with Misha and Induna, I think it was about 20 months old, if I remember rightly, somewhere around there, when that fateful day she was calling and calling and calling and they didn't respond. And then it was just a couple of months after that that she actually started spraying and signalling the fact that she was ready to mate again. So if you think about a birthing interval, let's say 2.5 years. So 2.5 years. And she started breeding when she was about 2.5 herself. And she's, 7 now? So when she's ready to breed for her next set of cubs, we're looking at maybe November, or maybe not November, a little bit earlier than that. Oh yeah, maybe November. November next year, November, December, January time, maybe next year. She'll start to breed again. Okay, let's see if we can make our way back to the cubs. Sorry, who was from Missouri? I heard Missouri. Jill. Morning, Jill. Over there in Missouri. Hope you're well too. And I hope someone's doing the maths, because my brain isn't functioning too well this morning. I don't deal with maths too much. Wanting to know what type of zebra we're seeing. They are the common or plain zebra. Sorry, I've been talking a lot about Karula and her cubs there. But, plain zebra. And there's been a huge debate. Now, when I first became a guide, I'm told that the zebras here in South Africa are no longer known as virtual zebras. They're just known as the common or plains, because the zebras up in the East Africa are different enough from the zebras here that they've decided those ones are virtuals and these ones are no longer. Although now it seems like they have decided that actually they are still virtuals. So, I don't know, he's just... Is there any station still with the Mampin pants? Sorry, confirm I can pull in? Bird of Africa was the shadow stripe. Some of the other birch or zebra don't have that. And that was the brown shadow stripe on the rump. Hi Janie, all the way from Indiana. Good morning to you too. Actually, I should really be saying good evening, shouldn't I? I get very muddled with time zones, I must admit. I'm just trying to find a little two-track in here again. Wanting to know how long will the cubs nurse for, and usually they should be weaned by about 3 months of age, but they are able to supplement the diet with milk to around 6, 7, 8 months, which was actually news to me. I wasn't aware of that until fairly recently. I was always under the impression it was 3 months and then they were pretty much fully on meat. But again, it depends on, I think, the success of the mother with the hunting and how well she's doing. As I say, it is possible that Karula could supplement their diet still. I'm not sure if she is still doing. It doesn't look like she's still lactating. She's a pretty successful hunter too. So maybe those females that are successful, they dry up much quicker than those that maybe aren't as successful, to try and give the cubs a good start in life. And that's one thing about nature, nothing's really clear cut. Just thinking about it, maybe one of the reasons why we don't see Karula leaving the cubs next to water a lot of the time. Water could be quite a treacherous place. It can attract hyenas and lions and things like that. So maybe there's actually a reason why she doesn't always leave them next to water. Maybe, if you remember, the lions were sleeping that side of the road, just where we had the zebra just now. That's where we left the Unkahumas. Maybe the cubbies are still around. Oh, there's a vehicle there, so they must have moved. Hold on. Oh, I'll get there. Okay. Just people check the holes in the stump side. Maybe one of those little mirrors at the back here. What was that? just going to park here and hopefully they might just come out into the open. They're actually, can you see them? They're just in that little thicket there, just to the left. Alright, little one, alright. That's the little male. He's a little bit more skittish than the female. Hi Johnny, welcome to you this morning. I'm just going to sit here and let that little male settle down. I wasn't too sure about what's going on there. There he is, he's just at the back, I can see him. Over there, he's moving. He might just come out. Yeah, there you go, you've got him there. Wondering how many wildlife specialists we have out here in case something happens to the animals. And I think there is actually an institution down in Kruger. I'm not too sure how many veterinarians are there. But if there's something seriously wrong here and it's caused by humans, then they come out to help, and that's the only time that we actually interfere. The whole reason why we have this game reserve set up is to try and help animals and preserve them, but also to help the balance of nature and try not to interfere too much. So if anything happens naturally, then we don't interfere, because that's what's happened in nature over hundreds of millions of years. And generally the predators will take out the weak, the injured, the sick, leaving the very fit animals to go on and reproduce. That's sort of the bare basics, if you like. You know, so it does get a little bit more complicated than that, but if you strip everything away, that's sort of the very basics. So here, as hard as it is, and believe me, it does get very very hard. If you see an animal that's injured or in pain, you do want to help it, but you have to step back and see the bigger picture. And there's nothing to say that if you're seeing an animal that's got an injury, there could be an animal that you're not seeing that's got an injury maybe 3 times worse, and that animal may be strong enough to survive with that injury. So if you come in and help that animal that's got maybe the lesser injury, and you fix it and mend it, and it's very stressful for an animal to go through all that anyway, so that can actually cause more damage than good sometimes. But if you help that animal to go on and reproduce, then maybe it wasn't supposed to survive, maybe it wasn't supposed to go on and reproduce, and if it does, then maybe it's actually putting genes into the next offspring that shouldn't be there. But if there's problems caused by humans, say an animal running into a fence, or someone's put a snare down and the animal's got wrapped around that, then that's when the vets will step in and help, because the animal wouldn't have had that problem if humans weren't here. Oh, there's the female, she's on that side. Oh, who's I just saw her movement. I think she's going to try and join her brother. I know this is going to be very frustrating. We can't see anything at the moment, but as I say, I don't want to put pressure. That little boy was just a little bit concerned, so I just want him to settle down a little bit, and hopefully that female might actually come to him. I saw her moving just a little bit further off the screen. Thanks, Cheryl Ann. Apparently there has been some studies done on leopards and female leopards, and apparently they do seem to have a higher success rate when they do have cubs, because they tend to go hunting straight away, like Karula. That's quite interesting to know. Thanks, Cheryl Ann. So Karula is not necessarily alone in her strategy. I'll put my teeth back in, hold on. Strategy. But that is good to know. I'm just hoping that Karula's not going to hunt over there in Buffelshoek. Hope she comes back this side. I haven't seen any more movement by that little female. I'm just wondering, it looks fairly open a little bit further round, so maybe if we make a little bit of a wider detour and come round the other side. I think where they are, they might be able to see that little female. Morning, Darcy. Interesting question from you, Darcy, all the way there from Nevada. Now that I can't get my head around the openness of Nevada. One of these days I'll have to go and see it. The Nevada desert. And welcome on board to you this morning. Okay, it's moving, so I'm just going to keep a lookout, see if that little male moves again. Morning, Ephraim. I'm wondering how long they'll stay put before they go and look. Oh, there she goes. She's going to come in, look. I just saw her tail flicking. But how long will the cubs stay put before they go looking for Karula? And again, it's quite a difficult question, because we don't know how long that she has left them. We haven't really seen them too often. She spent a lot of time either in the thicker parts of the bush or in areas that we're not able to traverse. But if she has left them, then they do tend to stay in the thicker vegetation to keep well hidden. Okay, I can see her there. Just to the left. You need to keep going left. Go left with the camera. And I think it's around there. Stop. Saw her ears. Just around there, I think. It's just to the left of that tree that's in shot now. She was just around there. Okay, I think he's going to pull out. Now if something does happen to Karula, there's nothing... There'll be nothing to really tell them that something's happened, apart from the time that she's been away. Now she's been away for a day or so, maybe even a couple of days, not checked in on them. That might be unusual for these cubs. Maybe after 3 or 4 days they might start wondering, and maybe it might be at that stage that they might start moving a little bit further afield. But again, oh, there she is. We don't really know for sure. And there's the other one. So just a little patience with these guys when they feel happy and play. So we're just going to stay here, keep our distance a little bit, and let them do what they want to do. So the honest answer there, I'm not sure. Let's say at this age, they do have the ability to hunt small animals. Whether they have the skill is yet to be seen. We haven't seen them really doing too much. That female seems to have more of a hunting instinct than her brother at the moment, from what we've seen. If you remember when we were watching the cubs with Karula and there was an impala that came on the scene, she was actually walking right up to the impala whereas the little boy ran and hid. And she seems to be the one to watch the birds and to figure out things and to explore a little bit more. Just watch her, she's going to pounce on him again. She's found something else of interest. We can just pan back a little bit. If we can just pan the camera back a little bit, she's doing something at the back of him. There we go. Something's caught her attention. Can you see? She's wiggling her bum just like domestic cats do, tails flicking. And that's one thing about leopards. They do have more of an instinct to hunt than many of the cats, and they seem to have that ability from a very early age. But the play that they're doing now and chasing each other is building up those muscles, strengthening those muscles, and homing their skills. Something has definitely caught her attention now. And all of that, all this practicing, will help them as they grow up. And at the moment, they don't have the size of the body to actually bring down large prey. But the times that Karula does leave them are the times, as I say, they can build up the muscles and play and practice those skills that are really going to carry them through the life. And Karula will obviously help them as well in playing with them and stalking them, and they actually watch what she does. What's great is that there's two of them, so they can actually practice on each other and stalk each other and pounce on each other. But it's thought when cubs reach about a year of age, if something does happen to their mother, then the ability to survive is there. Now these cubs are about 8 months. So size-wise, they are a little bit small if there's big predators around, but then they can climb out the way of harm. So I think really it would depend on the characters. And luck. You're always going to have a bit of luck on your side. But with Karula, she is a survivor, and it could be that they've got her survival genes. Her natural instinct to survive, and maybe they've got it. And if they've got that, that could just set them off in the right direction if something did happen to Karula. Just gonna see where they're going, because again I don't want to move around the cubs too much. I just want to let them do what they want to do, because the more you move, the more they're going to get a little bit wary. I'm just going to pull forward just very slightly. I'll see how they react with the vehicle turning on. I'm hoping that we're going to be able to just squeeze through here. So we can actually just see beyond that little green shrub there. Can you see the little boy just up in the top of the tree? He seems to be pretty good at climbing. Seems to be getting quite efficient at climbing. And good morning to you, Joe, over there in Canada. Good to hear from you as well. Wondering what diseases the cubs might catch, especially if Karula catches something that has a disease. And they are susceptible to the equivalent of HIV in cats, the feline HIV, the feline strain. They are susceptible to that. And even other diseases like canine distemper. That's one of the big ones that's affected lions as well as the wild dogs. I'm sure the leopards probably will be able to catch it as well. But to actually catch diseases from a carcass, you don't really hear of leopards catching bovine TB, but I'm sure they could if they ate a TB infected carcass. But their normal prey isn't buffalo, and that's possibly why you don't hear them catching TB as much. I'm just going to pull... Wow, that's quite a big thud. I wonder if they're going to start making their way back the other side. I'm just going to pull forward just a little bit more, just so we're in this gap here. So they are starting to wander off just to the side there. See them over the tree there at all. Let's say diseases that I actually know of with leopards. I'll have to see if I can do a bit more research on that one, Joe. Because I was looking for diseases the other day, and those are the only ones that really threw up. But again, as I say, I didn't really hear of much with the leopards. It's only really at a guess with the canine distemper and the TB. And rabies would also be another disease, but again, it's not one that you really hear of leopards catching. There's a regular little jungle gym just there. Hi, Laura. Crossing the ocean to Portugal this time. Good to hear from you. Wondering if I got out the car, would the cubs pose a threat to me? I wouldn't have thought so, unless I cornered them. If there was an area where they couldn't escape to, then they would feel threatened, and that's when you'd start to see the claws and the teeth come out. But if I was to walk right up to them, I probably couldn't even get there, but they would probably just run away. May get a little bit of snarling, but I'm quite a large animal compared to them, so they wouldn't really stand and fight. They would find themselves a tree, maybe go and climb, or some thick bush to go and hide in. But Karula, on the other hand, no, she was hiding in the bush somewhere. And she felt those cubs were in danger, then she would lay down her life for them. As, unfortunately, White Cloth did for her son. And he was probably just over 1.5 years old, so he wasn't young. She fought a male who was trying to kill him. Unfortunately, she paid with her life. So that instinct to protect is still very strong, even at an old age. I think she's still hiding behind that little bit of bush. I can't see where the other one is. But as soon as we know when these cubs have got names, we'll certainly let everybody know. But we are waiting really to see what the characters are like, and I think it's only really starting to come out what the characters are like. You know, she's just starting to look again. She might start running over this say. So Joe, I'll get back to you on the diseases one. And those are the only ones that I can think of that they might catch. As I say, I haven't really heard of leopards coming down with those too much. I'm going to settle down there. I'm just going to try and pull forward a little bit again while they're settling down again. It's a pleasure, Darcy. Good to hear from you. You see her through there? Is that a yes? Just there? Hi, Sandy. We're switching back to across the waters again. Oh, both cubs are there. That's the little female. You can see that little triangle above her whisker line. She's got two spots above each other in that little triangle. Whereas the little boy's got two very large spots. And both cubs are actually sitting there. I think I might be able to pull forward, but I just want them to settle again. And this is very important. It's slowly catchy monkey. You don't want to push them, you don't want to get right on top of them, you don't want to move too much about them. And you can see it does work. Because they become a lot more relaxed and they feel a lot freer to move around and not have to worry about what you're doing. And if we can help to keep them relaxed at this age, they're going to be just as relaxed when they reach Karula's age. And sometimes it may be that we sacrifice a nice sighting we can't just see because there's a branch in the way. But it means that we're going to have, hopefully, some really nice sightings with them as they grow up. And that is one of the ultimate. She's turned her back on us. Now that, and exposing the belly, means that the cat is pretty relaxed with you. Especially when they expose the belly, because that's one of the most vulnerable sides of a cat. Or any animal, actually. But if a cat rolls around on its back and exposes its belly, you can't get a much better compliment from a cat. Just say that it's relaxed with you. And I've totally forgotten the question. If we can just get the question again. It's just popped out my head. Oh, that was it. Sorry, yes. Having seen Karula's dad at the dam, wondering if her mother is still alive, and I'm sure a lot of people are wondering that. And I haven't heard about her recently, but no news is good news. Well, at least for a short while. Last time I heard Safari was around, I think she'd actually gone as far east as they've ever seen her. I think she was actually seen towards Nkoro side, where her normal area is Arathusa, which is on the western side. And Nkoro and Arathusa are probably a good 6 kilometres separation. Nkoro actually is close to Kruger boundary, whereas Arathusa lies Triple M, Gowrie main junction, southwest of there. It's actually their property just there. And I think that was about a month ago, maybe 6 weeks ago. And I think she was seen after that. But apparently she was looking in really good condition for a lady of her age. But I've yet to meet her. I know Sebastian's bumped into her a couple of times down by Baboon Pan. just see how they react with the vehicle turning on. I'll see if we can just pull forward very slightly so we can get past the tree. I'm just hoping there's nothing scraping the side of the vehicle. That's good, not a flinch from them. See them? See them? Just that? There we go. Hi, Destiny. Just picking up when I was talking about the wild dogs with the canine distemper a little bit earlier. Wondering if the den is still around Buffelshoek. I haven't heard any more, but apparently there is a rangers meeting coming up next week, so hopefully we can go there and find out a little bit more. So we're hoping if they're denning in Buffelshoek, we may see the dogs a little bit more. He's starting to relax a little bit more now. I think he actually takes courage from his sister. When she's close by, he seems to relax a little bit quicker than when he's on his own, or if Karula's around. So we'll certainly see if we can get some more information, Destiny, and see if those dogs are going to be around. But I haven't heard anything, and we haven't seen hide nor hair of them, or even tracks of them. So maybe they have moved on. Because that's the only time really wild dogs stay put. Because they're usually highly nomadic, and I think studies have shown an area of about 1,500 kilometers square, or square kilometers, the area that they cover on average. But when they den, they tend to stay put a little bit more. See, now this is the dilemma that we face. Because who knows when Karula's going to come back. She might come back in the next 5 minutes and call the cubs to say she's got a kill. But she might not come back for another 5 hours. But I think Karula's also, going back to Linda's question a little bit earlier, about there being water here, and say they're quite lucky in that it's winter now, that it's not too hot, it's actually quite a pleasant temperature today. And I think they have been here 2 days now. And say she's either supplemented them with a little bit of milk, or they drank before she dropped them off here, which I think is probably a good possibility. And if she hasn't been successful, I'm sure she will come back. She'll know how long they can last without water. I'm sure she'll come back if she hasn't been successful and move them, let them drink. If she's dried up with milk. Before moving them to another area. As I say, this is the dilemma that we face. But it's nice to actually spend a bit of time with them. I heard stories of Karula leaving her last litter, Mishu and Induna, quite often around by the staff compound, 'cause she knew that fewer animals will move around there, so the cubs were pretty safe, almost being babysat by the staff. You gotta hand it to her. I'll throw it over to you guys. What does the majority say? We can either stay here a little bit longer and enjoy just sitting with the cubs quietly with them, or we can move around and maybe come back in a little bit and see if Karula has picked them up. See if there's anything else we can go and find this morning. Seems they have settled down a little bit, but as I say, there's no guarantee if Karula's going to come back at all during drive, or whether she's going to come back in the next 5 minutes. There's never any guarantee. That's what's the beauty of the bush. And if no one's made a decision in the next 5 minutes, then I will. Sorry, who was that? Hi, Miss Chris. Good morning to you. This is the 2 cubs from Karula that we're looking at. And for anyone who has just joined us, welcome to Wild Earth. And we managed to find the 2 cubs where they were left last night. Looks like Karula's left them for a couple of days now, here in the same spot. I wasn't expecting to see them here, actually. But they were still on the termite mound, almost as if they hadn't moved all night. I'm sure they had. So the little male is actually looking at us now. The little female is busy grooming herself. Hi, Kathy. Good to hear from you as well over there in Minnesota. I'm wondering if the cubs feel relaxed because they feel protected by us. I'd love that to be true, I really would. It's very difficult to say, and I think that little male is still very wary of any vehicles, even us, but they can tell the difference between the vehicles, I think, from the sound of the engines and how you approach them. As I say, I'm very, both myself and Mark are very careful at how close we approach them and how much we try not to put pressure on them as much as possible. And even moving through, this is pretty thick bush. As I say, I know it can get quite frustrating sometimes. You can't get a clear view of them. But it's trying to limit the amount of movement that you make through the bush. And the amount of movement around them as well. And we spend a little bit more time maybe than other vehicles. Because we spend that extra moment waiting for them to come out or waiting to see if they are going to start playing. And because we don't move as much around them, they seem to settle a little bit more with us. And I think they probably can smell us and they'll smell the vehicle, and I think they learn to a certain degree, and also from Karula as well, how she reacts around us. I think they do understand, we don't mean them any harm. And that little male he's still not sure, he's still looking at us from time to time. The female's very relaxed, she doesn't really care. The odd ear turning towards us and listening, and that's why I'm just talking at the same level rather than whispering, because they do get used to voices, and it actually helps them to become less skittish as well, because they're like, oh, well, it's just a human voice again. So all of that will actually help them. And as I say, that little male does get a little bit skittish, so just to watch him, you can see the wind's picking up and the leaves are rustling a little bit, so he's like, ooh, what's going on? It was definitely that day when it was one of the first times we actually saw the cubs, and it was almost as if Karula dropped them off. And they came out right in front of the vehicle. And it was almost as if she was dropping them off for us to babysit them. As I say, I'd love that to be true as well. But who knows what goes through their minds. But she certainly wasn't shy about leaving them, which really was extremely heartwarming. Apparently a few people are asking to stay a little while. I say it's always very difficult, because I know there's a few people out there that haven't spent much time with the cubs and wanting to get to know them. And I know there's some people out there that want to get and see other things. I heard a branch breaking, as did they. And this is one of the reasons why I'm always wanting to stay just that little bit extra, because look at this. We've gone from sleeping cats to ones who are extremely alert. Again, look at that difference. The female taking the initiative. Male, not quite sure, hanging back. quite interesting. He's almost got the little Y that Mishu has next to his eye. I've not noticed that before. This is what's so special about Wild Earth, is the fact that we don't know what's going to happen. And that makes us very different from a documentary, where something might be happening the whole time, and this is how documentaries are made. You get camera crew sitting here and actually watching the animals and waiting for that special piece of behaviour. And sometimes just a little bit of patience pays off. And the beauty of it is, if we do spend maybe a little bit longer with cats that are maybe sleeping, and maybe it does pay off, or maybe it doesn't. But the beauty of it is you can always join us again tomorrow. And I think that's one of the differences between the live drives that we do and the game drives. When you come out to South Africa, you want to try and see everything. And that's one of the reasons why you get the game viewers spending a little bit of time and then moving on, because you want to see as much as you can. Whereas we can afford to spend just that little bit of extra time. And as I was saying earlier, if you spend a bit of time and you don't move around, the animals tend to relax a lot more around you, and they start acting a little bit more natural. And we've seen it a few times, even with these cubs, when we've sat with them and another vehicle comes in, and then they go into hiding again for a little while, and then they start to come out and play again. That little female's still not convinced. She definitely heard something. I also heard something. There's a branch that broke. Could mean there's an animal moving around which they need to be aware of. I think they thought maybe Karula was on her way back, waiting for that call. Hi, Sass. Duly noted. Apparently, if I'm to move, I will not live. If you look carefully, actually, now he's looking at us, he has the wow across his forehead. Look at that, right in between the eyes, just like Karula. He has the wow. Maybe not quite as clear as his mother, but it is there. But I think we will make a compromise, though. Stay a little bit longer and then go for a little drive and come back. So this is where I'd love to split ourselves in two. Again, it's interesting to see that they are on the ground, not sleeping in the trees. And this is another thing about leopards. If you read the books, they're supposed to sleep in trees all the time. But again, it does depend on the area. It depends on the research that's been done in what area. And what we found here in the Sabi Sands is actually the leopards spend more time sleeping on the ground than they do in the trees. Even when a leopard looks nice and comfortable up in a tree, I still think the ground is much softer for them. Little female's moving again. Just try and move again, just into this little patch here, so they're sitting a bit further back again. But they're still watching where they heard that branch. It's very true, Sandy. Sandy from California asking, how does Karula remember where she left the cubs? We have a hard time remembering where we parked our car. This is a much larger area. You've definitely got a point there. But remember, she's got a very acute sense of smell. I think it's something like 6 times stronger than humans. It's a very acute smell, so she'll be able to follow her trail. And I think she's got a very intimate knowledge of the area. And I think just like you have your intimate knowledge of the area that you actually live in. So if you have a few buildings that you go and visit, you know, the way to that building, and she'll have her certain pathways that she uses. She'll have her certain, I think she has her favourite spots that she likes to hunt in. She has her favourite spots to leave the cubs in. But there is that intimate knowledge. So just as you might go and leave your kids off at the nursery, you know where you're going, the paths that you follow to get there. She'll have the same sort of thing. And she may not know exactly where they are, so if she left them right on the corner of Albury's Road and Voyatella Junction, if she left them right there, they are a little bit further into the bush, and that's when she starts to call them. So she'll start to call them, maybe softly at first, and if they don't respond, then a little bit louder, until they actually come running to her. And she may just move around a little bit. So as they get older, they are going to move further and further from where she leaves them. Hiding around the corner now. We might be able to get another view of them that side again. Now, there's still quite a large area in front of me, so let's just see if we can pull forward there. It's the last second now. Oh, sorry. Too much noise around them. Hello, little one. Swing the camera, you might be able to see him. See him through the branch there. And just try and keep moving past them a little bit though. In there nicely. Is that you? Yeah, can you see it? It's a nice shelter spot. It's still actually very chilly. And a nice sheltered spot there out of the wind now. I did hear her calling for the first time the other day, very softly. It's the last time that we heard her calling, it was the contact call that carries quite a distance away. The first time I actually heard her was just after the storm when she was looking for the cubs. And it's almost like a cough. Very, very quiet. A little bit different to the lion. The lion's almost kind of a oof. As I say, hers is more like a cough. I'm not going to do it and disturb the cubs. But with the length of time that Karula's been away, this is what also makes me think that she might come back at some stage today. I didn't see any of her tracks to suggest she's been, but as I say, she might have been, and she may have come in from a different side. May have been that I just missed her track. Or maybe that she hasn't been back yet. What have we got there? Scott, duly noted too. Male battalier flying in the sky. I say, leopard's not always everybody's cup of tea. Some people wanting to move on now, and as I say, I think we will compromise. But this is what I was saying earlier, instead of having 10 people on board, we've got a few hundred daily, and everybody wants to have their drive and have their say. As I say, I just wanted to spend a little bit more time with them. One, because we haven't really seen the cubs and got to know them too much. And I know to a lot of people the leopards, especially this leopard family, are very, very special. And they have actually brought a lot of people together. But obviously a cat sleeping like this is not everybody's cup of tea either. But hopefully you've enjoyed spending a bit of time with them. And as I say, it is also very chilly. And when it's very chilly, you often find animals actually staying in the warmth of the bush, in a lot deeper in the bush. So you don't always see a lot of animals on days like this. So it's always nice just to spend that little bit of extra time as well with them. So trying to get that balance and trying to find the best of both worlds. And while they were a little bit active, and again, you can see she's alert. Something's going to happen, and with everything else that's going on, it could be that their mother came through, Karula. Could be that she came to pick them up and take them to a kill that she may have recently made. And then we know where to find them again over the next couple of days if we want to. But the uncertainty here, the fact that she's not been here for a couple of days, well, they have been here for a couple of days, doesn't look like she's made a successful kill at the moment, or in those 2 days, otherwise she would have come back and collected them. So there is that possibility that she comes back. She tends to move the cubs more during the day, possibly because she knows that the lions and the hyenas tend to sleep more during the day. As I say, that is the beauty of it. We don't know what's going to happen. And it's always trying to work out, should we stay, should we go? Is there going to be something happening in the next few minutes that we might miss if we drive off? Is there something happening around the corner that we might miss if we don't drive off? This is why I'd love to split myself into 4 ways. But I think you are right. We've spent some time with the leopards now, and they are falling asleep a little bit. So let's see if we can drive on, see what else we can go and find. Is it Mary? Mary and Jared, or Gerard? Not too sure how you say your name. Leave the cubbies in peace. Let's see if we can actually get out. just follow where Ephraim went so we don't damage the bush. So we've actually moved quite far from the termite mound now. She helped us move around the corner. So I got wrapped around the bush willow there. So, Gerard, wanting to know where they can go and drink. It's also Linda's concern. I'm sure a few other people as well. And there's nowhere that I can see that they can drink here. But as I say, Karula will know how long they can last without water, and it's actually very chilly this morning. It's not very hot, so not going to be dehydrating. And the same as yesterday, it wasn't very hot yesterday. So I think she will come back at some stage, and that's why I was wondering if she was going to come back today. And maybe either move them on. If she still has a bit of milk, she may let them drink milk, let them rehydrate again. Otherwise, she may just move them to there's a dam actually a little bit further up there. It's quite a big dam. So she might take them up there to drink. If she's made a kill, then she might take them straight to the kill and maybe stop off at a dam along the way. There's a number of possibilities that might actually happen. Say, by this age, she may or may not have milk. I don't think she's been producing milk for some time now, because I think she's quite an efficient hunter, and I think when they are an efficient hunter, when they can keep bringing food or keep getting food on a regular basis, I think the milk dries up much quicker than maybe those females that don't have as good a source of food, or maybe are as efficient at hunting. I think they will produce milk for a much longer period. So they can actually still drink milk to about 6-7 months old. I think they're just over 7 months, so 7.5, 8 months old. So that possibility is there. What was Mary wanting to know? Also came through with a question as well. But I think on the drinking front, I don't think we need to worry. Sorry, Mary. We'll get to your question soon, quickly. Is it possible to send through the question from Mary again, please? Where should we go? Where should we go? Often do the cubs need to eat? Well, what Karula's been doing is she's been eating her fill from a kill, and she tried Lego shortcut. Should we try that? It's telling me maybe let's try the Lego shortcut, and maybe let's do a lap, maybe coming around Gowrie Dam. Quarantine. Sometimes even days like this, quarantine has some animals. I think think Karula was last seen heading into Buffelshoek, so if we drive a bit along Buffelshoek cut line as well, we might be able to. Just here. See him. There's another one on the branch just to the left there. That's a nice shot of greenwood hoopoe. Finding insects beneath the bark of the tree. That bright red bill. There's a couple of them there. Living in the family. Chattering away. So she's eating her fill and then leaving the cubs with the kill, so at least the cubs can carry on feeding off the carcass. And that's how she's actually supplementing or making sure they've got enough food each day. Now a small cat, well, a lion needs to eat about 6-7 kilos of food on average. And some of the smaller cats, you're probably looking at about maybe 2 or 3 kilos on average a day. So that doesn't mean to say that they have to eat that every day. It just means if they've had a big meal, it would equal out 2 to 3 kilos each day. So with the cubs, they're probably about half the size of Karula. So maybe they'll need about 500 grams a kilo, maybe about 500, 750 grams of meat a day. So maybe up to a kilo, something like that, on average a day, as a guess, educated guess. And I think the last kill they had was down by Treehouse Dam. That's where Mafuffinyan, their probable grandfather, made an appearance. I think they'd finished eating there. She'd gone off to try and look for something else, and I wonder if she actually moved them because of Mafuffinyan being there. Maybe that's why she moved them over here. She seems to move them where she's wanting to hunt as well. She seems to not have them too far away from where she is planning on hunting. So I think by now they might start getting a little bit hungry. They've been without food for a couple of days. Their bellies still didn't look thin. You can see they haven't eaten for a day or two. But that's how the predators work as well. They work on the process of being full and empty, full and empty. So you might find that if Karula has made a kill today, she takes them to that kill, they will just gorge themselves and make their belly expand until it looks like it's going to burst and expand some more. It may be that she only gets successful in the next couple of days. But that's how the cats survive. The cats can keep going for a number of days without food. They may catch something small themselves if they get hungry enough, and that will drive them to actually catch small things. Maybe a bird, a francolin, maybe a dwarf mongoose, maybe some insects. You don't always have to go for very large things. They have insects as part of their diet too. Maybe reptiles, maybe there's a snake in there. A non-venomous snake, they might just eat it. We've seen the boys playing with a cobra. Misha and Induna playing with cobra skin. So we're on Gallego shortcut, looking for anything of interest here. Any tracks? birds. Sorry, who was that from? Carrie. Hi, Carrie. Good to hear from you this morning too. It's always great to hear from people. I actually miss our chats when it rains. I'm not asking for rain now though. I do enjoy having a chat, talking to everybody. I'm talking to you now, but yeah, kind of seeing everybody say hello, having the responses and everything, and kind of having a conversation. It's always one-sided sometimes. They're great to hear. I'm wondering when Karula will start teaching the cubs how to hunt, and I'm sure she's already started, and as I say, the play is all part of that. So actually just pouncing and jumping on them and chasing and things like that, that's all part of their training. So just because it's not actually on a prey item, it doesn't mean to say that it's not training. So that happens from very, very early on, even just the biting, and you'll notice when cubs play and they bite, and they actually bite around the areas where they would actually bite or make a killing bite quite often. So around the neck, and they might bite around the back of the head, and you may see them using their back legs to kick the belly, and the belly on animals is usually very thin, and so actually a kick can disembowel an animal. It doesn't sound too wonderful, but that is actually another way of securing your meal. So all of those things are actually part of that training. And as I say, I'm sure at that age they'll be able to catch themselves insects and maybe birds and maybe small rodents, mice, things like that. I think that's why they do say around a year old, if something does happen to the mother, then leopard cubs usually should be able to survive. And as I say, it does depend a lot on the character and a lot on the leopard itself. But she'll probably start taking them on hunts in the next few months or so. She's showing them how to hunt. She does keep taking them closer and closer to where she is hunting, and it could be that they've already witnessed her making a kill. I remember, I think the boys were just over a year and a half, and she was with Mishu, I think, who was chasing a scrub hare. And again, as they get older, and they will be present, and they'll actually be making their own kills, even while she's there. You don't really hear of leopards bringing animals back to the cubs to play with. Like you see cheetah for example, often the mothers will bring injured or small young animals that are a bit dazed back to their cubs and allow them to actually play with it and get to know it. But I've not heard of leopards doing that. They might do, I've not heard of it though. Or seen it. Is it me? All of a sudden, this area is just looking extremely dry. Wow. That's just suddenly hit me how dry this looks here. stations left the 2-man pin pans on the pans open lock. Buffalo tracks here. Keep a lookout for the buffalo, everybody. And unfortunately, I really don't know the answer to that question. A few people have been wondering, how long will the cubs stay put if Karula doesn't come back? If something happens to her. And it's really difficult to say. I mean, they are getting to that age where they're starting to be a little bit more adventurous. They're still not quite at that age where, you know, they're really moving too far away from where she's leaving them at the moment. And we don't really know how long she's been leaving them at other times either. So if she's left them for maybe 3 days now, maybe 3 days is a normal time period for her. We've just not seen her or them that much to really say for sure. Could be if she doesn't come back within 5 or 6 days, maybe they'll have already wandered further afield and gone looking for water. Could be that in the next day or so they decide to do that, which is very difficult to really say for sure. But I think that's possibly why, say around a year old, they can start to look after themselves and they can become independent at that age if something does happen to the mother, because maybe at that age they do start to wander further afield, and if the mother doesn't come back for them over the next so many days, they start to have that mindset, okay, I need to go and find food, I need to go and find water now. Hi Cheryl, and you could have a point there. Maybe what happened here? Could be that Karula is leaving them on their own longer and longer, trying to encourage them to make their own kill. Could well be. Could well be. I'm gonna say it is very much a survival behaviour. It is very much an instinct, especially in leopards, to hunt. So it could well be. I haven't thought about that. I just stopped here because there's a lot of feathers here. Not much else. I think someone had a very narrow escape. I don't know if anybody wants to try and ID these feathers here. This will be the feathers closest to the body. These will be keeping the bird warm because they're nice and fluffy here. So this will trap a lot of the air and keep the bird nice and warm. Little body feathers. This one might actually help you a little bit more. But there's no body, so I think this one may have had a narrow escape. I'll keep a lookout though. For anybody wanting to ID the feathers, then send your answers through to questions@wildearthsafari.tv. And if you would like to ask any questions, then also send it through to the same address and put in the subject line what you think or who you think this belongs to. We'll keep an eye out, see what's going on. I'll keep this one so I can show everyone again, if anybody wants to see it again. Not really any tracks there though. Now someone said that there was a little bit of commotion here, or down at the dam, earlier on this morning. So let's go and have a quick look around there. But if anybody would like to keep a track of what's going on down at the waterhole, then you have the waterhole channel, Juma waterhole channel. And if anybody wants to watch the fireside chat, I think we lost you last night. Well, something happened. Then we are going to be posting that up as well if anybody's wanting to watch it. And I did see a comment actually in chat last night. I didn't get a chance to reply, but someone was saying they were laughing at the fact that we didn't see the end of our movie and you guys didn't see the end of the fireside chat. I must admit that did make us chuckle. I'm feeling drips. Why am I feeling drips? That's not good. I'm seeing the waterbuck male over this side. That beautiful big male. So he's getting quite interested in that female. Ricky, Jules and Cheryl Ann coming back with the right answer for the feather. It is a guinea fowl feather. The spots on the top of the feather help to give it away. One of the more easy to recognise of the feathers. Yep, there we go. She's not quite willing at the moment. You see, he's actually kicking her back legs and resting his chin on her back, and he's basically trying to entice her to stand still. And just kicking those back legs is actually asking her to stand still, and it's almost like a squat. It's not quite, but it's to allow the males just to be able to cover her a little bit easier. And you'll find that giraffes do that as well, and other antelope, especially some of the larger antelope. And it's called lordosis, and it's just a special stance that the females need to just help the males out a little bit, and if they're not interested, then they'll keep walking away, which is what she's doing, and she's not responding to him at all. There you go, you can see that leg there again. that he is such a stunning bull waterbuck. It's huge horns, very impressive. There's Impala there, just in the top of the screen. You can see she's just moving on all the time. Hey Caddy, good to hear from you too this morning. And I shall have to see if I can find some interesting dung for you. Sounds like you're having withdrawal symptoms there. See if we can have another dung quiz. I have to try and find some good dung for you. Shame, he's going to keep pursuing her until she's ready to mate. Not letting too far out of his sight. The geese calling. It seems fairly quiet around by the dam, so let's keep going. As I say, if you would like to just watch the happenings around by the dam, and if you do happen to see anything, then let us know. We can let everybody else know, just in case we're not too close to the action. We're able to have a couple of eyes everywhere. Let's see if we can keep going. Let's go and have a look around Buffelshoek Dam. Some hyena tracks around here. Thanks, Penny. Appreciate it. Penny saying apparently leopards can catch bovine tuberculosis from the spores in the grass, but they're more likely to be carriers rather than actually show the disease. Apparently there's been an article that's actually been released recently. Thanks for that, Penny. I look forward to reading it. And I hope that the weather you were having yesterday in Durban isn't coming our way, but I have a sneaking suspicion it is. If we do have any new viewers, or viewers that are not too sure where we lie, in South Africa we southeast of the centre of the country, and Durban is on the coast, but even further east from us, in KwaZulu-Natal, which is home of the Zulus. Ever heard of the Zulus? And here in this area we have where the Shongan live. Obviously there's people that move around now. But you find a high proportion of Shongan here. You get a few Zulus around here now. Where I used to work up in the Waterberg, that was mostly the Sepedi people. Slightly different language, although I'm told there's 11 official languages. We've got English, Afrikaans, Zulu. I can never do the click for the Corsa. It's like I can't do the click and Corsa at the same time. I can't get my tongue around it. But Corsa, Zulu, Zapedi, Sutu, Shangan. Did I say Tsonga? Is that Tsonga? I think Venda also. I've lost count now. The 11 official languages. There's some languages that have progressed. It's almost like Dutch and Afrikaans. And I often find apparently the Dutch can understand Afrikaans because it's Dutch based. But I think Dutch has progressed further on from Afrikaans. So I've heard Afrikaans friends say they can kind of understand the Dutch as long as they speak very slowly and vice versa, but I think the Dutch find it easier to understand the Afrikaans rather than the other way around. And that's the same for some of the other languages here. And I had a couple of guys who were Venda, and that's from quite far north in the country. And apparently they could understand quite a lot of the other languages. But some of the other languages actually, some of the people that spoke the other languages, they found it difficult to understand Venda. Very interesting. A lot of different cultures and a lot of different cultural differences as well. We just took Central. We're now on Yana Road North. Ndebele, Northern Sutu, Swazi. I got Tswana, Tonga I got, Venda I got, Xhosa, Zulu. So thanks Cheryl listing the 11 official languages there. So I missed the Swazi and the North Sutu. Paddy falls under the Tsonga, if I remember right. And Ndebele, that was the other one. And I think there's actually, if you go to Johannesburg, which I still keep meaning to go to, I went to one of the museums, cultural museums. Apparently there's another one where it actually shows you the differences between the cultures and living conditions and things like that of years gone by. And so there's apparently a very, very interesting museum there. So if ever you're in Johannesburg and you're interested in the different cultures, apparently it's a good one to go to. And thanks Cheryl, different Cheryl this time. Water trees are starting to turn red already. Two of them. Quite a nice stark contrast to all the yellows and browns that we're starting to see. Tell you one plant I really miss seeing here. I used to get on my old reserve, and that was the fever tea. And there was one that smelled like lemon, citronella, and one that almost smelled like a mint. I miss the smell of that. That'd also be very good for colds. Make a tea from it. Or you can actually just put the leaves in boiling water and put your head over with a cloth and inhale the steam. And wormwood. My friend used to swear by wormwood. Also making a drink from it. Seen those two plants here. They might be further into Kruger. They might be around here. I'll have to check the plant list. But thank you very much for all your well wishes to myself and Mark. I do appreciate them. And I think I'm kind of getting there now. Sorry for my snuffles again today. But I'm feeling much stronger now, which is good. Hey Linda, I hope you're well. Good to hear from you as well. And I'm sorry, I'm really bad at languages. I struggle with English half the time, as some of you know. Linda wants to know how many languages, the 11 official languages do I speak? Sadly not a great deal. I've been trying with Afrikaans and I'm still trying. Sadly I do butcher the language. Actually I butcher any language I speak. Maybe I shouldn't speak even English. Oh, pied kingfisher just behind us. Beautiful. And I know a little bit, like thank you. In Sepedi it's Kaliboha, and in Zulu Tsiabonga. And we do speak a little bit of Shangaan. We speak it on the radio. If there's anybody wondering, when we speak on the radio what we're actually speaking, it is Shangaan. Yeah, there's a couple of Egyptian geese over there calling. They're just behind a bush for us, I think. Okay, I'm hearing 3, so I think there's an intruder. That's why we're hearing a lot of different calls. Let's go and just have a quick check what's going on there. I keep wanting to say Le Homa, but I think that's Japanese or Chinese. Maybe Chinese. Le Homa. I think it's Cantonese. Le Homa. Said with an English accent. And one of these days, I would love to actually be bilingual, and I have so much respect for people who are bilingual, who even try, or quad or quint, or there's some people that speak 7 or 8 languages. I think Mark's good at languages. What's wrong? Okay. I'm not happy about something. Exactly what's going on there, but we've got something. Something's bugging them. Quite what it is, I'm not sure. They keep landing on the water's edge and in the water. Here we have looks like some elephant tracks. Legai, that's the word I was looking for. Legai is Pedi for how are you? Amazing, if you don't use it, you lose it. It's been a while since I've asked that. Legai. And you would reply, Rohana Relina. I am very well, thank you, Rohana Relina. Ooh, hippo. There's a few words that are used in any of the languages. Shop, I think, is one of them. Shop is good. Say shop man, it's good. Different view of a Buffelshoek Dam. Buffelshoek, also Afrikaans. Buffalo Corner, Buffelshoek. No, 2 hippos. Yeah, the wind's starting to pick up a little bit, which is not good. Oh, and there's some dwarf mongoose just on the opposite side of the bank there. There you go, yeah. Yeah, just there. Just to the left of where the geese are. And there was Egyptian geese anyway. Oh, he's gone. But for anyone who hasn't seen the Egyptian geese, there you go. I think they must have chased that third one off. I definitely heard 3 calls. I think that's what's upset them, and they've gone a little bit quieter now. But otherwise, it was fairly quiet. And Caddy, no dung to play with as yet. Still looking. Trying to break through. No. The sun's trying to break through. See, this is what I mean. I really shouldn't speak English. I have my own dictionary and everything. I speak my own language. This quickly. Ow. I never like to take bark off a tree to show you this, but if there's been an elephant that's been kind enough to do it for us, it looks like it came from the acacia tree, which is usually pretty good. I don't have any water left to show you. But if anybody's ever heard us talking about making rope, then just to quickly show you how to make rope. Let's say the elephant's just taken off a load of bark here. And then turn the camera around. Actually, just going to turn the camera around so you can actually see the bark that's stripped off the tree. Now, unfortunately, I don't think that tree is going to survive. Yeah, it's been debarked all the way around, and once the bark's been taken off, and the inner bark, which is what this is usually a little bit more fibrous, but once all that's been taken off, the plant's actually lost the ability to move nutrients and water up and down the plant itself. And without that transport system, the xylem and the phloem, take you back to primary school years, Without that, then the plant is going to die. And unfortunately, all of that bark around the base has been taken off. If there's a bit of bark still on the tree, then it may have the chance to survive, but otherwise I don't hold out too much hope for that tree, sadly enough. But this time of year we're going to be seeing a lot more of the bark from the tree being taken off, because it is getting to that point where there's not as much food available from on the trees, not as much in the way of leaves and berries and things like that. So we're going to be finding that the elephants eating a lot more bark and roots and things like that. So we're going to be finding a lot more damage like this. But just to show you, and acacia trees make really good rope. So do silver cluster leaves. There's a silver cluster leaf to our left there. Actually just in front of us here. Looks like it could be a silver cluster leaf. It's certainly to our left. What else makes a good one? Common wild pear is another good one. Makes another good rope. So if we can, so that's there's a couple of silver cluster leaves around there anyway. You take parts of the inner bark, you take strips, and this is obviously a little bit messy. You can be a little bit neater if you get the chance to do this. There's a couple of ways of doing it. You can either take a piece and you can roll it on your leg. So if you've got hairs, then it's a good way of waxing, apparently. But you can roll it. You can roll it on your leg like this, or you can just roll it between your fingers like that. And you take the whole length of the piece. And it's good to actually add water. Water makes it a little bit more supple. And especially if you get some fresh stuff that elephants have eaten, then you've got the elephant saliva mixed in and it's all nice and supple. So you've got the next part. You can roll it. And you can actually then start rolling the two pieces together. So once you've rolled it... Wait, something behind me?
No, we're going to have to change battery.
Oh, we're going to have to go. Battery change, don't go too far. I hope we're back. So you can do it like that, or you can just twist them and then plait them sometimes. But all of this is to actually strengthen the individual fibres. So if you want to plait them, you can. Otherwise, just twisting together like this. And as I say, hopefully this should be strong enough. Even though it's very, very dry, it's very brittle, it's still it's still very strong. Do you want to give that a go, Becky? Pull it on the other side there. So that's pretty strong. So even just by just twiddling a few bits together, it's still making a pretty strong rope. And we've actually made one where we've been able to pull a Land Rover with a few strong guys. But we've actually built a rope strong enough. We've held litres of water off of it as well. So it is possible to make yourself a very strong rope just here in the bush. And that's how you do it. Just from bits of bark. Oh, there's a silver cluster leaf. Just for those of you... Oh, let me just grab a leaf. There's one standing behind me all the time. So if you've never seen a silver cluster leaf, this is a silver cluster leaf. It's got tiny little silver hairs on the leaf itself, which gives it a sheen. And when the sun shines on the leaves, especially in the summertime, it just gives off this beautiful sheen. And if you have a toothache, these leaves are good for chewing. And it releases a lot of tannins, and that helps to numb the side of your face. really tastes very, very bitter. But someone else has been munching on this one, so I'm not going to demonstrate with this one. But that is the silver cluster leaf that I was just talking about. Also very good for making rope. So you might actually be able to see that silver sheen there of that one. Even though there's not much sun around this morning. Silver clustered leaf. Hi Sandy, good morning to you. Sandy Star. Now I saw a couple, and I can hear them. Wolf mongoose. Let's see if we can encourage a couple to come out. You might be able to hear them. Sandy wanting to know how the hippos make that loud sound. There's a vocalization. And I actually heard them. I'm sure one was doing it on land. Now usually they're pretty silent on land, but I can't confirm 100%, but I've always known them to only really do it in water. But that day we had 13 hippos out of water. One was actually calling, but I didn't actually see who it was that was calling. But they are capable of making a lot of other sounds that we can't hear. Okay, they're not going to come out and play. Sometimes if you sit, sometimes they'll come and see you. And I think we're going to go. As one of them comes out. So I'm going to say sometimes they'll come out and say hello. I think we must be too big and scary for them today. They are capable of making a lot of sounds underwater, and you need an underwater microphone to hear them. Lots of clicks and croaks and whines. So they actually have a full-on conversation below the surface of the water that we can't hear. And it's thought they possibly detect a lot of the sounds with the hairs on the chin. If you think about the way your ear works, have hairs inside your ear that move back and forwards, and that produces the information that gets sent to your brain, and that's kind of the process in your ear. And with them having the hairs on the chin, it's thought that's possibly how they detect a lot of the sounds underwater. Still looking for some dung, Caddy. Some decent dung. I was hoping to find some around there. got jumped. That's not fair. Someone changed the clock. Okay, let's get to the top of the hill. Sorry, Caddy. I'll see if I can do some dung this afternoon. But thank you very much for joining us this morning. I hope you enjoyed spending some time with the cubs. Still full of energy. And who knows when Karula's going to come back. But I think we'll definitely try and check in on them a little bit later on this afternoon as well. And hopefully it'll warm up. And we may be lucky with some other animals out and about this afternoon. Thanks for all your questions. And it's always great to hear from you. It really is. And thank you very much for joining us here on the Gunda on Wild Earth this morning. Happy Independence Day to everybody out there who will be celebrating today. Hope you have a fantastic one. But for myself and the rest of the crew, take care for now, and we'll see you again here on Wild Earth. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that drive. Please join us for our afternoon safari at 3:30 Central African time. Have a great morning, afternoon, or evening. See you later.